Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Production channel here at YouTube. Welcome to the very first album review for the new year. So, what better way to kick off the album reviews for the new year is, of course, none other than with the 18th studio album from Anvil titled Legal at Last, which of course was originally dropped on February 14th, which of course was Valentine's Day of all days. Anyways, this of course is their 18th studio album. This is their the third studio album for the most recent lineup, which of course goes back to 2015 with the Anvil is Anvil album. So, third studio album for this new lineup. This of course even marks the second album for both the two producers here, being George Yukin, who of course had produced the most previous album, Pound the Pavement, and of course Martin and Matties, who of course had produced Anvil is Anvil. But this also even marks the debut for Anvil on new record label AFM Records, so serving Pound the Pavement as the final album for them on SPV/Steamhammer Records. So, while this may be almost a different start, at least for Anvil, on a new label and all of that. However, it doesn't mark any change in musical direction. This is what you've come to expect from Anvil. Anvil are pretty much were just like with bands like Motorhead and AC/DC. It's what you've come to expect, and if you like the formula, well, you're not going to dislike anything on this album. However, if you weren't a fan of Anvil before, this ain't going to change your mind. So without further ado, let's get into their 18th studio album, Legal at Last. Now, the whole title of the album, and of course the title of the opening track, which of course is Legal at Last, is pretty much the band celebrating the legalization of marijuana in, of course, their own state of Canada. So for them, of course, it's definitely been known that that Anvil, and along with Lips and them, are basically big marijuana supporters. They've been smoking it since, of course, their whole life. And, of course, they made that known on, of course, albums such as Plugged In Permanent back in 1996. So with that, of course, let's not let that be the whole sole focus of the track, because it is a killer speed metal tune to open up the album. Just fast and energetic, what you've come to expect. It's definitely another great track from Anvil nonetheless. I definitely do think, even though some may not always care for the lyrics, because of, again, not everybody is into the most homegrown plant on the earth. So that, again, great track. Second track, of course, is Nabbed in Nebraska, which is actually the first song to actually be released as a single for this album, which, of course, was to promote the album. Song is definitely a typical sort of mid-pace pounding metal from Anvil, very similar to tracks like either Bitch in the Box off of Pound the Pavement, or even Metal on Metal. It's that sort of same mid-pace feel, very almost Accept-like at times. It's just a killer track. Of course, though, the lyrics is actually about a incident that happened to them while they were touring in Nebraska, though it's not. I've tried to look for what year it took place. It could have been last year, could have been even the previous year. I don't know. Either way, it's about an incident for sure, and it definitely has, again, another one that seems to deal with marijuana, though this time, again, since Nebraska is actually one of those states that hasn't legalized the plant and the drug or whatever, it definitely got them a whole lot of trouble. And of course, in the song, it definitely goes through a lot of the states of what happened and so on what happened with the cops and so on. So it's definitely basing, again, another more so life story for the band, which is definitely something you probably see once in a while. Lips at least injecting a little bit of that kind of personality into some of the songs. So definitely another killer tune. Next up, of course, is Chemtrails, which of course is another sort of back to being a more speedier, energetic track. Though song itself about the lyrics is pretty much one of the more conspiracy-led songs, and of course, if you are familiar with the conspiracy theory of chemtrails, it shouldn't be a no-brainer of what to at least expect from the lyrics and so on. I mean, fuck, guys like Joe Rogan kept talking about the conspiracy that is chemtrails and so on. So it should be no secret what it's about. Anyways, definitely another decent tune, another good tune from Anvil. Definitely keeps the energy going. However, the fourth track here, Gasoline, which of course, I don't know if you could say slows down the tempo, but it definitely brings it down to a little more, so almost more crushing track from Anvil, which is very similar to songs either like Hope and Hell or This Is 13, or even Forged in Fire, if you want to go as far as that far back into their discography. It's another heavy, pounding, just slow, heavy romp. I wouldn't say complete of a romp, but it just has that sort of so pounding in your face feel that is something to expect from Anvil. It's a definitely crushing, slow burn of a track that definitely, for sure, I cannot see not being played live. I mean, some of these songs on here I can see being still live staples or staying in their live sets for years from now after this. But Gasoline is just a great, slow, heavy fucking track that is great. Follow it as of course as I'm Alive, which and brings back the energy a bit, but this time a little more classy feel. This of course is I'm Alive, which is to me right here, this is definitely going to be even for sure a song that's definitely going to stay in within their live sets. This is classic Anvil, and of course to accompany the classic feel of this, of course, is none other than with the personality of Lips's own Never Say Die attitude. This is definitely a song that summons up what Lips's own, even just the band's own Never Say Die attitude. A band that just doesn't want to say no. They don't want to say quit or anything. This is just that type of track. It definitely is able to summon up what they've been doing for over years. They are alive and they are kicking ass. That's what this song is about, and it's for sure I cannot see this not being on their set list for years to come after this. So I'm Alive is definitely by far right here one of my personal favorite tracks off this album. And of course, to follow it is another one of Lips's personality-led tracks. Is of course is Talking to a Wall. It's definitely more of back to more thrashier kind of track and stuff. Definitely a little similar to a song like maybe Winged Assassins off of Forged in Fire. But to accompany the track, of course, is Lips's personality. It's though more so about one of his biggest pet peeves, basically. So that's what, so it should give you a little idea of what Talking to a Wall basically summons up. So that's the next track. Of course, next track here is Glasshouse, probably next to Chemtrails as being the second conspiracy-led track, though this one's more so about the idea of basically the invasion of privacy, the idea of the government spying, and of course Big Brother, the whole idea about that. And of course, if you are very familiar with those kind of conspiracy topics or the fear of basically losing all your privacy in your world, then this song for sure it should be easy to understand, and it's something I think everybody should at least appreciate, because we all want a little bit of privacy in our life, a little bit of freedom at least to do what we without anybody invading, and basically just invading, I guess, is the best way to really put it, and it's something that we should all at least cherish. So in a way, of course, another great track. Definitely more mid-paced tracks for sure. This is a great track. I definitely dig it. So Glasshouse. And of course, next up, of course, is Plastic in Paradise, which this one is though more, I guess, another serious topic. It's still, though, Lips's and, of course, the band's basically they're respecting of the environment, basically. It's a very environment based track, though more so about the idea of basically plastic basically polluting the world and the ocean and so on. So it's a very much a I can say another sort of almost thought out, serious track for this album. It's definitely is a topic that is always talked about for over years. Everyone brings it up all the time when talking about trying to change things within the world. So Plastic of Paradise, of course, though more of a more Sabbathy kind of feel to the song, but again, the lyrics is definitely the part that almost in a ways kind of overpowers the song in some ways because of it. It's definitely something that is very much well talked about to this day by everybody. So Plastic of Paradise, the other track of that. And then of course you got other songs like Bottom Line, Food for the Vulture, and Said Done in No Time. Now Food for the Vulture, I think of some of these is for sure another track I would say is a real standout one of this one. It's another sort of real speedy track. That was something that sound like it could have easily been on like Forged in Fire or even Strength of Steel or Pound for Pound. Very classic speed metal feel to this one. Almost at times maybe pushing towards power metal at times almost. But just has that feel. It's a great song. Food for the Vulture is definitely another classic tune off this one. Of course, again, No Time. Great way to end the album. Though it's mostly considered a bonus track. Even though it's technically on all the vinyl copies of the sound. So really, can you really say it's a bonus track? Anyways, it's the last song that ends the album. It's another, again, a very fast, heavy romp. So, overall, this is definitely a solid album from Anvil for sure. There's definitely plenty of great sort of, varies within tempos. You get your mid-pace song, get your faster songs, and they all at least are very well composed. I really can't say that Anvil if they put out another bad album, because again, I think this, again, it's a very consistent album from start to finish. Though I don't know if I can say it's nearly as good as Pounding the Pavement, which I thought was a great album from Anvil. This one is definitely very similar, though it does have its differences for sure in terms of the tempos and the speeds and the overall personality, I guess I can say, the overall differences within the lyrics and so on. It's probably a little more serious compared to some of their most recent albums, but it's definitely probably the one I would say, compared to some of the lyrical contents from the past of the other albums, I almost feel like this one at least somewhat really is more well grounded and some of that, and doesn't completely really go overboard with a lot of its lyrics. Some may agree or disagree, but that should always be at least be expected when it comes to people at least receiving this album. I know some who are at least talking about the album. Anyways, just a solid album. I think my overall score is gonna be a 8 out of 10. I think it's, again, I think this is definitely an overall solid album from Anvil. So it's definitely a great album. I definitely shall also, again, before I really end this, also go into the differences with the pressings, whatever, because again, this is the European Digipack CD pressing for it, which of course contains the song No Time, though again, I don't see any other CD copy that doesn't contain No Time. That's until I start looking at that. There's actually a Japanese pressing that's going to be released on March 13th, which will contain a different bonus track, which is, you could say definitely the definition of that right there would be the definition of a bonus track. It's actually a song called Don't Shoot the Messenger, and it's only on the Japanese copy. This time around, the band didn't do a independent CD version for this one. They basically just kept it. They just kept it to one copy, I guess you could say, being the AFM Records one. Of course, now the Japanese pressing, which I forgot who's releasing that one, but I think it could be either Spiritual Beast. I don't know who it is that's probably releasing it. Anyways, that's going to contain a whole different bonus track. So with that. If you have, I know right now you probably have purchased this album. Definitely let me know what are your thoughts on this album and what do you think, which you definitely can type that in the comment section below. I think this was definitely a solid album from Anvil. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. This is Every Thrash I Sam out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.